Hi, I'm Trina B. Welcome to Taste and See. Today we're making an easy peach cobbler in a pie dish. Warm, sweet, perfect for sharing. First, we're going to start by opening 4 cans of chunk peaches. I like using the Del Monte brand. I think it's the best, and also getting the chunk option because it saves time from having to cut everything up. Once we have all the peaches in the pot, we're going to put this on the stove, and then we're going to put a stick of butter in there. So we can go ahead and put the stick of butter in there now. Okay, this is just regular salted butter. We're going to put that in there, put that in the stove, put that on the stove, and then once the butter melts, we'll add all of the other ingredients and let that cook and come to a boil. After the butter starts to melt, we're going to give it a little stir. Then we're going to add half of an 8-ounce pack of cream cheese. Now trust me on this. This is going to take this peach cobbler to a whole new level. My great aunt taught me this, and this comes from her mom, who is my great grandmother. It makes this cobbler taste so good when mixed with all the other ingredients. Trust. See, some desserts, they don't just satisfy your sweet tooth, but remind us of home, memories, and keeping those older recipes alive. After we give this a good stir, we're going to add about 2 cups of sugar. I'm only adding 1 now, and I'm going to give it another good stir. Once it cooks for about 15 to 20 minutes, we'll add the other ingredients. While this is cooking, we're going to work on our dumplings that we're going to add to this mixture. Sometimes I make my own dough for the bottom and the top layer of the cobbler. The same way that I make the dough is the same way that we're going to make these dumplings. You're going to take the other half of the cream cheese, a half a stick of butter, a heaping cup of flour, a 1/4 of sugar, and put it with a little bit of water, about 1/4 cup of water, and mix that all together. If you need more flour or more water, just add as needed. But you want to get a good texture so that you can really work the dough. If it's too sticky, just add more flour. But since we're only using this for the dumplings and nothing else like the crust, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I like to lay some wax paper or parchment paper out while I do this, and I'm going to add a little flour here as I spread out the dough. I like to use the wax paper because after it's said and done, it helps with the cleanup. All you have to do is pick up that paper and throw it in the garbage. Of course, you still wipe down your countertops, but it's not so tedious. And so as you can see, I'm just getting this dough to not be so sticky so that I can roll it out and make it easy to handle. So all I'm doing is mixing more flour in as I go. And now I'm going to roll this out. Be sure to put some flour on your rolling pin. Just helps keep everything smooth. And so we're just going to roll this out. We want to get it nice and flat. Once we do that, we're going to go back to our cobbler mixture and add all of the remaining ingredients. There's something comforting about old-fashioned desserts. They remind us that simple ingredients still create something beautiful. Now it's time to add our flavors. I'm adding about a teaspoon of vanilla flavor, then a 1/2 teaspoon of almond flavor. The almond is another key ingredient that just really sets this recipe apart from most. And let me tell you, I cannot wait for you to try it. It is so good. Now it's time to add all of our other ingredients. Next is ground cinnamon. Now I only put a little bit because honestly you don't need much. You're going to sprinkle some just across the top, just like this. Then we're going to add another cup of sugar and add this to the mixture. And for our last major ingredient, brown sugar. But you only need a little bit of this as well, just about 1/4 cup. And then we're going to give it a really good stir. Now when we add the dumplings, this is going to thicken up a little bit more from the flour. But before we do that, let's taste it first. How it tastes now is how it'll taste after we take it out of the oven. So let's see if this is the taste we're looking for. It should be spot on, but if it's not, just add a little more sugar. Now it's time to get back to the dough. Now since I only need enough for the dumplings, I don't need all of this dough, but if you like a lot of dumplings, add as much as you like. I'm just going to start by cutting slits and making little squares. Again, this does not have to be perfect. So this is an example right here. Not perfect at all. So after we cut some pieces, we're just going to place them right in the pot. If they're too big, just break it with your hands and put them on in there. Once you put the amount of your choice, you're just going to stir them a little bit and let them cook for a few minutes before turning off your pot. This is smelling good and it's looking good. So the only thing left to do now is to put it in the oven. So let's move on to our final step, the crust. Now we're going to take out one of the crusts and use it for the bottom. I'm going to press this down really good into the dish. Now my Aunt Sibby also taught me to bake your bottom crust for about 10 minutes or so before you put in the filling. Now this is to make sure that the bottom isn't too soft and doughy, because no one wants doughy crust. So this last step is very important, so don't skip this. The crust has to be right because it adds to the texture and the taste. Now after we take the crust out of the oven, the final few steps is to add the cobbler inside and put the top crust on. Now this is a lot of peach cobbler mix, so this is enough for at least a full pan, or you can make 2 pies with these. But as you begin to fill it in, add as much juice as you like. So if you like a juicy cobbler, add more juice. I'm doing what me and my family likes, but use as much or as little as you like because it's plenty. Now this cobbler is not going to last long, so I'm going to make another one in a couple days. But feel free to freeze the rest of whatever you don't use or refrigerate and use it within the next 2 days. So now it's time for the top crust of the cobbler. Now, if it's not perfect, it's okay. It just means you made it at home. And that's okay. Because you can see when I set this on here, it's a little tear and no big deal. And so I'm just going to cut some slits, and now I'm going to close the pie crust up. Now this is pretty hot because I just took it out the oven. So if you do it like this, be careful. If you don't, wait. So I'm just gonna close it up, and again, it's not super perfect. I'm just trying to get this crust locked in so that it doesn't seep out. Every good and perfect gift is from above. Even the small joys, like dessert, are reminders of God's goodness. This peach cobbler is warm, simple, and made to be shared. I hope it brings a little sweetness to your home. Thank you for cooking with me today. If this brought you a little joy, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Try this. Now, I know I put that in my mouth too soon. It was hot, y'all. But it was good. It's good. It's really good. I'm gonna put some ice cream on there.